The battle of the titans, Apple versus Google. They couldn't avoid each other forever, with both stocks near all-time highs, around $700 a share. Which do you buy, and who's going to win the nascent battles for cell phones and everything else? Eric Jackson's here to tell us. He's the founder of Ironfire Capital. Wow. Two big ones, two heavyweights. This is like waiting for a big fight between the big ones.
Mano a mano.
Yeah. Now who's gonna win this one? Who's better positioned?
Well, I think Apple's already won. To this point, pretty, sort of hands down. I mean, what's the metric? Is it profits? Is it stock price?
But they're both sitting on a dump truck full of cash. I mean, and we're not talking about who won. Apple's sort of the king of the mountain. There's only one place to go eventually. Can they stay atop with Google nipping at them?
Well, there's no question Google's given them a run more than anybody else, and it sort of scared the bejesus out of Apple, which I think is a good thing long term for Apple and Apple shareholders. But one of the ways, one of the ironic things is Google sort of is closing in on its all-time highs just in the last day or so, and that was, you have to go back to 2007. So 5 years ago, it took this stock to get back and claw its way back to where it was pre-crisis. Right. Apple got back to its sort of November 07 levels in October 09. So basically 6 months after the crisis ended, the thing had made up all its losses.
But Google's found its mojo. I mean, they've gotten back to their highs, not by accident. They came out with the Android. They're not monetizing that like crazy, but it's a nice product. They somehow made the YouTube thing look like a smart acquisition. Are they going to be able to monetize those to the extent Apple has to get those big fat margins that drive my stock to, say, 1,000?
Look, I like Google, and I give kudos to Larry Page. I think he's done a great job there over the last year and a half. And I think they go higher from here. I think they're on a roll. They're going to show some good, strong numbers in the next few quarters, and I think they'll do well. But I would remind everybody that this is a search engine company. This is sort of 90+% of this company's profit is search. As much as we like to talk about how YouTube is great and how Android's market share is off the charts and there's so much potential in this and that, at the end of the day, it's search. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. And all these other little areas, they can grow, they can be nascent, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And if search does continue to have troubles in the mobile world with profitability and monetization, that's going to be a big issue. And as far as Android goes, it's great to have high market share. It would be nice if they made a little bit of money from it at the same time.
But aren't they creating an ecosystem the way Apple has? The advantage of the iPhone isn't so much the one-off tech. Android's had producers that have kind of replicated that. But the Apple ecosystem on the back end, Google's doing something similar. It's a little different in the sense that you can do whatever you want, ostensibly, but it's a Google ecosystem that people are buying into and paying a premium for it, which will eventually monetize itself. Again, in terms of driving these stocks forward, is that just such a long shot for Google that you'd rather stick with Apple here?
That's definitely a reason. I mean, it's a funny ecosystem, really. I mean, they say it's open. They say, hey, we're the opposite of Apple. Everybody work with us, do your own thing. And then they go buy one of the people in the ecosystem and they say we're going to compete with all of our members in the ecosystem. And then just a few days ago, just last week actually, there was a story out of China where Alibaba was working with one of the Android partners, Acer, on a new phone. And basically Andy Rubin stepped in and said, no. We don't like your interpretation of Android. We don't think it's good. We're just shutting this down. So, there's some signs of, is this, how are the other members of this ecosystem going to take to
even
this?
A kindergarten sandbox gets a little tough in some occasion. Give me a price target for each of these bad boys. So they're both around 700-ish. What's your price target?
Well, listen, long term, I've said like 2015, I see Apple going to 1650. I mean, this train is just getting out of the station. This thing is on a track, and it's going to keep going. I think Apple, short term, in the next 6 months, I think definitely blows through 800, gets into sort of mid 800s. But then I think you're going to be a little, you have to be mindful of the whole Motorola acquisition and how is that margin drag going to play on the stock.
All right, so you're an Apple guy.
I am.
All right.
True and true.
And your Google price target, quick,
880.
880, okay.
In 6 to 12 months from now.
880, it sounds pretty good until you compare it to his price target for Apple, which is twice that much. Hey, who's going to win the war? Why don't you let us know what you think? Comment down below, drop me a tweet, or just call us on your cell phone, your smart little device.